Something doesn't feel right in the world of women's tennis right now, and if you've been watching closely, you already know exactly who we're talking about. Iga Swiatek, one of the most dominant forces on clay in recent years, is suddenly facing questions that no one expected to hear this season. And now, after her latest setback in Madrid, those questions are getting louder, sharper, and a lot more serious. It all unfolded in a way that felt uncomfortable to watch. Swiatek stepped onto the court in Madrid looking to build momentum, to remind everyone why she has been so feared on clay. But instead, things quickly turned into a struggle. She found herself locked in a tight battle, dropped the first set in a tiebreak, responded well in the second, and just when it seemed like she might turn things around, everything fell apart. Down in the third set, she was forced to retire due to illness, ending her run in a way that left more concern than clarity. And that moment didn't just end a match. It triggered a wave of reactions across the tennis world. Former professionals Sam Querrey and Steve Johnson didn't hold back when discussing her situation. Their tone wasn't dramatic for the sake of headlines. It felt real. It felt like two players who understand the game at the highest level looking at a champion and realizing something is off. Johnson, in particular, said something that really stood out. He admitted that this was the point where he had to hit the panic button. That's not something you hear often when talking about a player like Swiatek. Because let's be honest, this isn't just any player going through a rough patch. This is someone who has built her identity around dominance, especially on clay. When you think of consistency, control, and confidence on this surface, her name is usually at the top of the list. But in 2026, that version of her hasn't fully shown up yet. What makes this situation more concerning is the timing. The clay season isn't just another part of the calendar for Swiatek. This is her territory. This is where she's supposed to build rhythm, collect wins, and send a message heading into the French Open. Instead, she arrived in Madrid without even a semi-final appearance in recent tournaments. That alone is unusual. Add an early exit and a retirement, and suddenly the narrative completely changes. Now the question becomes unavoidable. Is this just a temporary dip? Or is there something deeper going on? Tennis is a sport where confidence can shift everything. One week you're untouchable, the next you're searching for answers. And right now, Swiatek looks like a player searching. Her movements aren't as sharp, her control isn't as consistent, and most importantly, her aura of inevitability feels slightly faded. But here's where things get interesting. Despite everything that's happening on the court, Swiatek's response off the court tells a different story. After her exit in Madrid, she shared a heartfelt message. You could feel the frustration in her words, the disappointment of not being able to compete at her best during such an important stretch of the season. But there was also something else in that message. Determination. She didn't sound defeated. She sounded focused. And that matters more than people might realize. Because champions don't just get defined by their wins. They get defined by how they respond when things aren't going their way. This is a moment that could either shake her confidence even further or push her to reset and come back stronger. The next stop is Rome, and it couldn't come at a more important time. The Italian Open is not just another tournament. It's the final major test before Roland Garros. It's where players fine-tune their game, build rhythm, and regain belief. For Swiatek, it's an opportunity to silence the doubts. Not with words, but with her performance. But let's not ignore reality. The pressure is now very real. When former players start using phrases like panic button, it reflects a shift in perception. Opponents start to believe they have a chance. Matches that once felt predictable become open battles. And in tennis, that mental shift can be just as important as anything happening physically. Still, writing off a player of Swiatek's caliber would be a mistake. We've seen great players go through phases like this before. Periods where results don't match expectations, where confidence dips, and where everything feels just slightly out of sync. But the best players find a way to adjust. They analyze, they adapt, and they come back with something new. The question is, how quickly can she do it? Because the French Open isn't waiting. The countdown has already begun, and every match between now and then carries weight. Every set, every rally, Every small improvement could be the difference between an early exit and another deep run. There's also the physical aspect to consider. Illness forced her to retire in Madrid, and that adds another layer of uncertainty. It's not just about form anymore. It's about recovery, preparation, and making sure she's in the right condition to compete at the highest level when it matters most. So where does that leave us? Right in the middle of one of the most intriguing storylines of the season. On one side, you have the doubts, the concerns, and the growing pressure. On the other, you have a proven champion with the ability to turn things around quickly. And somewhere between those two extremes lies the answer we're all waiting to see. Can Swiatek rediscover her rhythm in Rome? Can she rebuild her confidence just in time for Paris? Or are we about to witness a rare moment where one of the sport's most dominant players struggles on her favorite surface? That's what makes this so compelling. Because in tennis, nothing stays the same for long. Momentum shifts, narratives change, and players evolve. And right now, Swiatek is standing at a crossroads. The next few weeks will tell us everything we need to know. So what do you think? Is this just a temporary slump? Or is there a real reason to worry about her chances at the French Open? Let me know your thoughts in the comments, because this is one story that's far from over.